Tip number 203 from the book 501 Contractor Tips. Should I use a tax professional? I recommend using a tax professional, especially if you don't know anything about taxes. You don't know anything about doing your own taxes. You don't know about the short forms, the long forms, the 1040s, what you can write off. Now, use a tax professional if you don't understand this stuff so that you can learn. You've got to understand what these people are doing. And this is going to be a shock to you, and you might even be one of these people, but you would be shocked at how many people know very little about taxes. They know very little about, they can't even look at a income tax statement and tell you what everything is on there. And that's not a good place to be. You've got to learn about everything. And I've said this before, especially when it comes to money. You've got to understand, I just said it in the last video, you've got to understand what you can and cannot write off. If you think, hey, I'm going to buy a computer for my business, but I'm not going to write it off because, you know, my kids are going to be using it, then write off a percentage of the computer. If you're using 50% of that computer for your business, write 50% of it off. But if you don't know this, and you're not comfortable, you're afraid of getting audited, then you're not going to be claiming what's actually yours. It's kind of like winning the lottery, never going to pick your money up because you're afraid of something. It's the same thing here. If you don't know, then you're going to be losing money. And losing money means that you're going to have to make more money just to arrive at the same number, if that makes any sense. I'm not gonna explain that one right now. Now, when I wrote this, I think I wrote this book about, let's just see here. I want to say I wrote it about 5 years ago. I don't even have the date in here on this particular book. I want to say I wrote it about 5 years ago. They have came out with a lot of new tax software that is fantastic. Now, what I did one year was I went out and I bought the tax program. I did my own taxes and sent my taxes to my tax guy. My tax guy did the taxes. I came back, I compared what he did and what I did. He still saved me about $1,000. So I tried to look at what I did wrong, what he did, you know, what he did to get a better understanding. But it did make me think that this is another big reason why you might want to consider using a tax professional instead of doing it yourself. And you could always do what I did. Send it out to have someone do it. Have it come back. You try and do it yourself with one of these computer programs and see what works. Now, I do my own taxes now. The reason is because I'm not in the same situation I was. I'm not dealing with a bunch of materials. I'm not dealing with a bunch of stuff anymore. A lot of my stuff is simple. It's easy to do. So why not buy a tax program? I think the tax program costs me less than $100 every year. I can do it at my own leisure, get it done. I mean, my tax guy before would hand me the taxes a few days before it was time to mail it in. This didn't give me much time to go over it. And I know why he did it was because there wasn't any time. And this might be the same thing that's going on with your tax guy. Now, what it does, when you're doing your own taxes, it makes you aware of every single thing you can and cannot do also. It's a learning curve. So this is kind of what I recommend. Use a professional if you don't know much about taxes. And if you want to learn more, get the information. The government has it. Get some books on it. Get some software. Start poking some numbers into this thing. It's not just going to take you 20 minutes to learn this. You know, walk through the entire program. Spend some time on this. Get some trade journals, whatever it is. Remember the IRS, I don't know if the state has it, but the IRS has plenty of publications you can get. I believe publication 15 is one of the most common for a small business, but they have publications on everything. They'll explain it. And I'm not saying this stuff is crystal clear, but if you have a general idea and you have a tax professional, then you can always ask them, can I do this? Can you explain this to me? Something like that. Or even go on the internet. There's all sorts of information out there now. There's more information out there now than when I wrote this book. So, should you hire a tax professional? Absolutely, if you don't know anything about taxes until you do. Then you can make up your mind. Am I actually going to save some money? Is this going to benefit me to do my own taxes? Or are these individuals, because it is, and I've got to say this, if you're doing a lot of volume, it's going to benefit you to probably have someone do your own taxes. But you've got to, and this is a biggie, you've got to understand every single thing that they're doing on the taxes.